This is Rick Rule for Rule Investment Media, sponsors of the 2024 Natural Resources Investment Symposium, July 7 through 11. Attend live in Boca Raton or from the comfort and convenience of your own home via live stream. However you choose to attend, understand that we're going to give you more programming, 60 hours, than you can absorb in the 4 days of the conference. To that end, all of the conference proceedings, including the breakout sessions, will be recorded so that you can revisit the conference time and time again. Also, to that end, we're interviewing every exhibitor before the conference so that you can arrive at the conference fully prepared, allocating your time and capital optimally. One more thing, every public company exhibitor at the conference has been vetted. They are all owned in accounts owned and managed by the conference sponsors. Sadly, the fact that I own stock doesn't necessarily mean guarantee that it goes up in price, but it does mean that the process is honest. Every single exhibitor has been vetted. Today, I'm interviewing Alex Dorsch of Chalice Mining, coming to us, I suspect, at the wrong end of the clock from Australia. Alex, first of all, thank you for your efforts on behalf of shareholders, myself included, and thank you too for your sponsorship of the 2024 Natural Resources Investment Symposium.
Pleasure, Rick. Nice to finally chat to you and to meet, and look forward to seeing you in Boca.
Let's begin by having you tell us something about your background and the background of any other key officers and directors of Chalice. Who are the people that are propelling this issue forward, and why should we care what they have to say?
Sure. So my background, I'm the CEO of Chalice. I've been with the company now going on almost 7 years. I came out of spent some time in both hard rock and soft rock mining, if you like, the oil and gas sector. Spent most of my career in the exploration or the early stage end of projects in both spaces. And I spent a couple of years with the management consultancy McKinsey and Company, really working around the world with larger entities typically, and really sort of with a focus on improving their exploration teams and improving the effectiveness of their project functions. And then around about 7 years ago, I met the founder and largest shareholder of Chalice, Tim Goyder, who's a very well-known entrepreneur here in Perth. And we got along well, and we found common really a goal and objectives together. And we, I was lucky enough to join a company that had already a really, effective and proven group of explorationists. The main person, the main general manager, Kevin Frost, who runs our exploration function. He's been responsible for a couple of world-class discoveries now under his belt, primarily in the nickel space. So Kevin continues to lead our geological function, and I guess myself as CEO running the company. We've also brought in two individuals worth noting, Mike Nelson and Sue Carney. Mike is our GM project development. He's been involved in some of the larger recent porphyry copper developments in South America, involved throughout sort of base metals, precious metal space, building very large projects. So he hasn't worked a lot in Western Australia, but he's a perfect person to lead our project. And Sue Carney, who's almost the opposite, spent a lot of time in her career in Western Australia and has permitted every big, small, good, the bad, the ugly. She's an expert in her field, and we're very lucky to have those two individuals sort of leading the project from a study perspective and obviously regulatory approvals and permitting perspective.
Let's move on now to talking about the asset. I remember the discovery holes and the incredible furor, both in Australia and internationally, generated by that exploration effort. Tell me something about what you found, and tell me how it fits in to the competitive landscape in that industry, and tell me too about where you go from here with that asset.
Sure. I mean, in early 2020, we stumbled across this very, very large deposit just on the outskirts of Perth. So it was an incredible surprise, I think, to the industry, and surprise by the nature of the minerals that we found as well. So it has now become effectively the only major palladium, nickel, copper development project in the Western world. There is, as you know, very, very few large scale palladium projects or palladium resources, palladium deposits outside of South Africa and Russia. And really, what it's morphed into is, I guess, the standout development play in the sector. And what makes it, I guess, extra special is that it's in Western Australia. Obviously, fantastic place to mine something, and it starts at surface. And I think that was the other sort of real buzz and excitement that was generated from our discovery hole back in 2020 was just how high grade it was, and how shallow the sulfide mineralization was. So we spent about 3 years drilling out the deposit at pace. We spent about 200 million Australian dollars defining the resource in a very, very logical, systematic way. And we've done approximately 2.5 years of study work on the asset, primarily focused on metallurgical test work, obviously mineralogical analysis. Polymetallic sulfide deposits obviously, come with a level of complexity, particularly when you're dealing with 6 payable metals. So really, we're now in the PFS stage. We expect to have a PFS completed in mid next year, mid next calendar year, 2025. And really, I guess the focus of that work at the moment is twofold. The first being metallurgical test work. Obviously, we're dealing with a very, very significant resource, but it's a resource that's really spread over a couple of different mineralogy types. So it's important for us to really understand each of those styles of mineralization within the deposit, be able to characterize them very well. And then secondly, we've started the permitting process. So we're not dealing with an asset in a known mining region. This was a complete greenfield discovery by our geologists. So that comes with opportunity, but also challenges in terms of developing the first greenfield mine in an area. So both of those things, I guess, pushing us towards an FID or an investment decision to construct the project in late 2026.
Um, Tell us something about the resource, something that could be ascertained from public documents, the size of the resource, the grade, if you can, the in situ value per ton at current commodity prices, that type of thing. I want my audience to get a sort of an order of magnitude understanding of what it is you found effectively in the Perth suburbs, which is astonishing to me.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it is quite astonishing. It's about an hour and a half drive from the centre of Perth, so it has the benefit of all the infrastructure that a major city has. So we've got about 17 million ounces of platinum palladium, mostly palladium. It's a Norilsk style metals ratio or metals split, so it's predominantly palladium, and 17 million ounces of total precious metals, about 960,000 tons of sulfide nickel, and most of that nickel is in recoverable sulfide form. And then about 560,000 tons of copper and 80,000 tons of cobalt. So it's a big resource in any sort of dimension, but very, very unique in terms of its palladium endowment. So it's an order of magnitude larger than any other palladium asset in the Western world in terms of endowment. In situ grades, for a bulk, open pittable resource, around about 0.8 grams of precious metals, 0.16% nickel, 0.08% copper, and 0.02% cobalt. So if you think about it in sort of precious metals equivalence type terms, it's a roughly 1.5 grams per ton equivalent palladium grade in the ground. Obviously, we're doing those studies as quickly as we can to identify sort of what this material might be worth But obviously, as you've been following, Rick, the current commodity prices don't really do it justice. We're in what we think is a very cyclical low in palladium and platinum in particular. So I guess that's being reflected in our valuation and the sort of forecast in terms of margin and revenue per ton that we could generate. But we think that price environment is completely unsustainable. So that obviously I guess colors the valuation in the market today.
In terms of understanding the deposit, things like net present value calculations, price sensitivities, that will be contained, I take it, in an upcoming pre-feasibility study. And if so,
That's right.
when might we expect that document?
Yeah, so pre-feasibility studies on track for roughly 12 months' time. So I guess one of the challenges is with large polymetallic deposits with so many different styles of mineralization is that it does take some time. Surprise, surprise, to unlock particularly the right flow sheet. We have lots and lots of options to work our way through. We've really looked at a as simple as possible flow sheet to begin with, which involves sequential flotation. So floating a copper PG concentrate, then a nickel cobalt PG concentrate. And then we're looking to do some leaching of flotation tails using sort of commonplace techniques downstream of flotation. So all of those things, I guess, is very much a work in progress to work out the optimum flow sheet. And really, that's where the value of our project lies, is through iterations and engineering that optimum outcome. And even just recently, we've seen just by using some different techniques in flotation, we are starting to see the recovery is trending up, which is always a good sign during the pre-feasibility stage. So about a year away, Rick, and you'll see obviously mine designs, financial outcomes, all the models associated as you'd expect with a PFS at that time.
Tell me about how much money it's going to take you to get through this document, both in terms of the expenses around the study, but also the general and administrative expense of the company, and juxtapose that against how much money do you have? In other words, do you have enough money to get me there? And if not, where are you going to get it?
Sure. So one of the benefits of the extreme price volatility that we saw during the COVID period, in terms of palladium and nickel in particular, was that the capital markets were very much open, which was to our benefit. So we raised about 325 million Australian dollars over a number of primary issuances. And so we're left with about 104 million Australian dollars, or call it 70 million US today. And we think we need about 15 million to complete, 15 million Australian dollars to complete that PFS. We're also doing exploration. One of the unique, I guess, value propositions of Chalice is that we made the first discovery and we were able to go and stake, a huge amount of surrounding license area as well. Hasn't really been ever looked at or ever explored fully. So we've got about 10,000 square kilometres of surrounding license to explore as well, and we're looking to spend around about $5 to $10 million a year on that package, according to the quality of drill targets. And obviously, our geologists, we rate them very highly, and they've proven themselves. So we think that's money well spent. On top of that, we're looking at around about $6 million a year of keeping the lights on, as we would say in Perth, to general administrative expense. Keeping a listing, obviously, we try to do things as lean as possible, and I guess that's the way we like to run the company. So we're well and truly within the current capability of the balance sheet to get through these study phase of the project.
Clearly, that's true. And clearly, too, with a 17 million ounce precious metals endowment and very large copper and nickel endowment, this is truly a tier one project. $100 million cash doesn't hurt either. Tell me what your market cap is. What are my attendees paying for all of this?
So current market cap around about 400 million US dollars, or 550 million Australian dollars. So you could say that's very, very good value for a tier one asset in a very safe jurisdiction. And yeah, so I guess that reflects the current state of the commodity cycle, I guess you'd say, particularly in palladium. I think that's driven by, in our view, some short-termism on as you've mentioned as well, the death of the internal combustion engine, and really in the last few months in particular, we've seen anything but. So I think that obviously provides an opportunity to your followers and listeners.
Alex, we've tried to school our attendees to like commodities that are out of favor, and you almost have a trifecta here, which, from my point of view, is explains away the market capitalization. I thank you for your efforts on behalf of shareholders, and I look forward to hosting you in Boca Raton, July 7 through 11. Thank you, too, for taking your time today to talk to us.
My pleasure, Rick. I look forward to talking to yourself and your team there in Boca.
Finally, Alex, assuming that my attendees would like to reach out and visit before the conference to familiarize themselves, who in particular do they talk to, and how might they reach that person?
So either reach out to myself or my GM Corp Dev, Ben Goldblum. We can share those details with you to put them in touch. Be more than happy to take people through more details.
And how do they reach you? What's the contact mechanism? Is there an email address, a phone number? How do they find you?
Yeah, we can reach out to us at info@chalicemining.com. You can look at our website. You can contact us. Contact details are on our ASX platform as well, on our ASX, and obviously our office numbers that are listed as well. And yeah, happy to chat and talk anyone through the value proposition that Chalice
You heard it
is.
here, ladies and gentlemen. Talk to the boss. Go to info@Chalice. Direct your inquiry to Alex Dorsch, CEO, and be ready when you come visit him at the Natural Resources Investment Symposium. Thank you again, sir.
Thank you, Rick. Pleasure.